So good afternoon to all. Hope we are wake up. So thank you, Shivani, for giving a very technical insight about the things. And Solar Biscuit, this is especially a very new thing. Definitely, I'll explore much about it. Our topic is really very wonderful. 24/7 solar economy. It is not just a concept nowadays. Okay. So when we are talking about 24/7 solar availability, so people are talking about it, and yes, not only people, the government is also talking about it, and on a very serious note, we all are doing the work. Few major activities which are going on. I will jump directly onto the topic in the interest of time. So few major important things which are going across the world. First of all, in order to reach the solar power to all, because sun energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but yes, it can be converted from one form to another. This is a basic principle which we all know. So how the solar power can be available to everybody at all times means 24/7. So we know that sun is around the globe at any point of time, here and there. It is rising from east and then going towards west. So yes, at some point of time, sun is available at all the countries. So what government are talking about means the Indian government and the British government, especially they are talking about the OSOWOG, one sun, one world, one grid, right? So behind those concepts, many things are going on, that how to transmit the electricity from, let's say, India to Pakistan, to Afghanistan, and then to Far East towards Europe and towards other countries. So currently, the people are more or less dependent upon either on gases or on some fossil fuels, because European countries might not be having that much amount of sun what we are having currently. So yes, so it is a very good and better opportunity for Indian context to explore more and more about this OSOWOG concept, to transmit the electricity from our country to other countries also, and when required to get the electricities from those countries. So second concept is regarding the storage of electricity, because sun, the availability of sun is almost more than 300 days in India. But yes, but the hours which we are talking about, the availability of sun is, the peak power is available only 3 to 4 hours a day, right? So sun rises 7 a.m., 6:30 a.m., and then it is going towards peak at 11 a.m. approximately, and then by 2:30 or maybe 3, the top or the peak load which we are talking about going down. So when we are saying that we are installing 100 megawatt of solar power plant, it doesn't mean that it is supplying 100 megawatt at all times, right? So it will be supplying 100 megawatt at a particular period of time only, right? So the storage of electricity while we are not consuming the electricity during the peak hours is very much essential. So that can be stored either in the form of batteries, either we are charging the batteries. So battery energy storage systems are coming in a very efficient way. The second concept is nowadays, which is more lucrative for everybody, is the green hydrogen. So make the hydrogen from the electrolyzers and then store the hydrogen in the form of cells, and then utilize that hydrogen either in the making the electricity again, or charging the fuel cells, then making the car runs, or the maybe higher buses run, or sometimes maybe train also can run over the hydrogen fuel cells. So the third thing can be the pump hydrogen, which is again a very important thing which is going on. When we are not utilizing that solar part of the, or maybe hydroelectric power, then definitely we can pump up the water again, so that when we require that particular amount of energy, maybe in the evening time or maybe in the night time, then that hydroelectric power plant can function again, right? So in this way, we may be able to, not may, yes, we can be able to achieve the concept of 24/7 solar energy for everybody, and that definitely will be a sustainable economy for all, right? So when we are talking about the solar energy, few very critical things which are coming to our ears again and again. So in the last 1 year, if we can see, so government have imposed few major policies like ALMM and BIS certification for the module manufacturers. So module is the basic component and almost consisting of 60% of the whole cost of complete solar power plant. So when we are not able to import much of the modules, they are not abundantly available in India. Definitely Indian manufacturers are not that much in volume they are not manufacturing, so that the complete demand and supply can be met. So we are more or less dependent upon few countries only. Okay, that includes China and US or maybe Vietnam only. So now we are not able to import those modules. So people are getting self-sufficient. Many companies like Reliance, Adani, or maybe other companies are manufacturing the modules, but they will take their own time, right? So they will take, let's say, 2 years or 3 years to make their factories up to that level, so that they only, India only can consume those modules. So right now we are deficit of those modules. So the things will come streamline shortly, but yes, currently means those things are not very much good for the solar industry. And then again we are saying solar energy, then many things are very much disturbed for the solar developers. Like we are not having very accurate solar forecasting, right? So when we say that we have to produce whatever the amount of energy, we have to schedule it to the state load dispatch centers or the national load dispatch centers, so that they can properly forecast their own things and can schedule their power for interchanges and exchanges. So that is also a very critical phenomena for all of us. And due to climate change, we can see that it's a very huge climate change all across India. If we are seeing in Rajasthan, still yet in Jaisalmer, we are having more than 150 mm rain daily. So more or less the solar power plants are available or located far there in Rajasthan only. And if we are having rain for, let's say, 2 months or 3 months, then from where the solar power will be generated? Solar power will not be generated. So we must be having some accurate phenomena for scheduling and forecasting also, right? And definitely if we are matching all those criterias, then 24/7 availability of solar power will be a great milestone for all of us. It is achievable. Yes. Thank you.
Any question from the audience to Mr. Atul? Yes, sir.
Well, I think, you see, you hit upon a few practical aspects. The point to be made is that we know that these weather conditions are becoming more unpredictable. So in the light of that, what do you recommend as stabilization measures for, particularly for electric power supply? Because the grid is a constant. It's like the human body. It has to be kept alive and fed at almost all times, though the peak loads may vary. So what stabilizing factors to make the power flow within the desired band are you suggesting? What kind of mix? For example, Rajasthan, you mentioned that the rain conditions are affecting solar insolation. So what is the hybrid and what will be the tariff with that kind of a mix that you envisage?
Yes. So thank you for the question, sir. So when we are saying to stabilize the grid, yes, this is the foremost important requirement to stabilize the frequency of the grid at all point of times. So when we are saying the fluctuation due to the weather, clouds and all, so yes, so first important thing is that when we are installing a solar power plant, let's say I am sticking to solar only, so we are installing 135%, let's say 0.35 more times what we are supposed to feed to the grid. So at that point of time, when we are not producing that much, when we are not allowed to feed to the grid, let's say a 250 megawatt plant, we are not allowed to feed 255 or 260. At that point of time, the battery energy storage system should be charged enough, and then as and when required, that battery energy can be again discharged in order to provide the extra power what is being required by the grid, right? This is first thing. Second thing, as this is a very quick requirement, right? So to stabilize the frequency, if grid is asking for active power or maybe reactive power at any point of time, then highly precise power plant manager should be installed at all the plants. Although government is trying to push all those things, but yes, so I can say yes, we are far below the requirements The people are installing them, but yes, those are not so fast acting that they can stabilize the grid also.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes, sir.
Planning, you would have envisaged a certain climate fluctuation. But actually, as we are moving towards climate change, that fluctuation, that factor of X that you are adding, is that X changing and at what rate? And the present plants and the installations, what kind of agency are you envisaging or mechanism to which to forecast and to predict for the future that what kind of balancing is required, what is that factor? And if that factor, as you mentioned, say 35% more, let us assume a figure, or more than your actual load that you are serving, your peak load at any point of time. What is that variation now of X as a Y factor?
Yes,
or whatever?
so right. So first thing, sir, there are both the ways, right? So first thing is the accuracy in the forecasting mechanism, right? So what the renewable energy developers are forced to forecast the energy by their own, right? So what we people are doing, I am also a part of that same company only. So what we people are doing, we are integrating with the third-party agencies. Many third-party agencies are there, which they are buying the data from NASA or OMER or the other agencies, and they are forecasting the energies to SLDCs, right? So the accuracy level itself is from 5% to 15%, right? So if government or some other agencies, strict agencies can help those developers in forecasting the power to us, then it will be very much easier for SLDCs also to schedule their power, and it will be easier for independent power producers also to schedule their power. First thing is the scheduling and forecasting accuracies, right? Second point is that, sir, definitely we have to keep the grid at 50 Hertz. So keeping the power ratio 35%, 40% or 50% may not much more help, but yes, if we are installing some storage system within across the plant, right? Storage system in the form of batteries, battery energy storage system, then only we may be able to reach that very fast requirement of the grid only.
Tariff mechanism, that the grid is the frequency is what has to be respected, and your tariff through your smart metering system may have to vary moment you are going into the wrong zones. Now that dynamic tariff concept, unless I feel, I'm an old practitioner, unless you bring that concept, renewable energy as a principal source of injection of power, as an intermittent source, will run into huge problems. So there is no move, no demand from your sector that the tariff should be linked to the grid frequency at that point of time. Now today, the problem may not be too bad, but tomorrow when the share of renewable goes up, when climate issues become more averse, we have to, as planners, foresee the future. Think 10, 15 years ahead or 20 years ahead, so that people start getting used to that concept. That is what I was trying to draw your attention to.
Or maybe higher amount of DC power, then we will be making some energy.
Sorry, you are looking at the other side. Now, how much will you add? How much
Will you add on, and when do you switch on? Do you have that switch on, switch off timing? So one method, as I was suggesting to you, is that linking tariff to frequency. Now I think Vivek is the expert. I am just a generalist.
With your kind permission, please, can I just take 1 minute?
Sure.
Kanan?
Please.
Sir, Anil sir, thank you so much for bringing up that point. And I spoke about the technical aspects, and the commercial aspects are really very important, because all of us have seen the blackout, the July blackout, where we had 4 different grades, and how the tariff brought in the coordination between different state utilities, the load dispatch center, and so on. So that's where we have many tariff-based guidelines also, where first we introduce the availability-based tariff across India, where how much you deviate. Now we have the deviation settlement mechanism, which is getting applicable to the renewables as well. Because previously it was just based on the availability or whatever you could produce. Now even the renewables have to give a day-ahead schedule, which will get stricter as and when our forecast becomes clearer, and actually those charges get implied to the utilities, to the power generators, and so on. So deviation settlement mechanism and the inclusion of renewable with a different kind of formula compared to the conventional is something which I know of, so I just couldn't resist myself from sharing here. Thank you so much.